Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Burke. I'm the Executive Director of Western Liberty Network, and I want to welcome you to the latest in our ongoing series of Saturday 1 p.m. trainings on different topics. These trainings are available free of charge, and you can participate in these trainings at any time by going to the red Join the Zoom Session button on the westernlibertynetwork.org website. And if you miss the training, you can see it if you go to the Western Liberty Network training site and go to the training tab and scroll down till you see the video trainings and scroll down till you see the one you missed or anyone you might be interested in or haven't seen yet. So with that, I'm going to, first of all, welcome Leela for coming to the meeting. It's always wonderful to see Leela here. And I'm going to share the screen because I want to show folks something. Okay, what you see here is the Western Liberty Network website. When you type www.westernlibertynetwork.org, you get forwarded to this site. And there are some resources I want to show you. The homepage always shows what's coming up and what we have done. For example, what you see here is an advertisement for the session that we are doing right now. And of course, the red button that you've all used, you can sign on with Zoom. This is mostly for people who might be watching this on YouTube. But anyway, if you scroll down, you'll see previous things that we have done. Like here is information about our recent Klamath Falls conference, our annual conference in Vancouver. And on the right-hand side are a variety of resources. This can include recordings and PowerPoint slideshows of different aspects of the conference. You can also see summaries of the conference by clicking on these documents as indicated. Here you can hear speeches by Senator Dennis Linthicum and Christina Soltis of Slavic Vote, who was at our main conference, and scroll down some more and you just see other resources, an occasional speech, an occasional presentation here and there. So that is a resource that's available free. If you want more, you can go to the training tab. The training tab offers a lot. The top here shows the kinds of training that Western Liberty Network provides. And then down here, we've got a series of training documents. These documents are meant to be provided as part of a live training session, but they stand up well on their own. So if you see one that is about a subject you're interested in, just click on it and you'll be brought to a PDF document on that topic. And you can download it, print it, do whatever you want to do. These are not copyrighted, so feel free to photocopy them if you deem them useful or email them, distribute them however you like. But we have quite a few different topics here. And a new topic is elements of good political messaging. That's always helpful. And at the bottom, we've got a link where you can download one document that contains all of the training documents in one fell click. And so you scroll down a little further and you go to the weekly training sessions. And this session that we're doing right now will be posted at the top here within a couple of hours after its conclusion. And as you see, we have over a year, almost a year and a half of Saturday trainings on different topics. Like today, I provide some of the trainings, but we also have guest trainers from time to time. Last week, we had Representative Werner Reschke, who is a state representative from Klamath Falls, who did the guest training. And we've got lots of others as well. So there's always something interesting to see. And all this information is available free of charge. If you are part of a group and you would like live training, we do provide that. Myself and guest trainers provide that live training. There's no cost for that either. There's no cost for these things. The only thing we ever charge for are the conferences we hold in hotels to make those expenses. Everything else is free, but it's not free to us. We do spend money to do these things. And if you wish, you can support Western Liberty Network by clicking on the Support WLN tab. That'll bring you here. And people can make a contribution, a one-time contribution, or an automatic monthly contribution. This is handled by PayPal, so you know it is secure. And all contributions to Western Liberty Network are fully tax deductible because Western Liberty Network is a 501c3 organization registered with the IRS. And in keeping with that, I need to mention that Western Liberty Network does not endorse or oppose. I think we have, yeah, screen sharing is off. Western Liberty Network does not endorse or oppose any candidate, ballot measure, legislation, or we don't oppose or promote any of those things. Even the candidates we train, we don't endorse or oppose them. And that is because as a 501c3, we cannot do that. What we do, however, is provide limited government grassroots activists with training on various topics. Then they can use that however they see fit. So that is the basic spiel about Western Liberty Network, what these trainings are all about. I'm going to go into the training here in just a second. Are there any questions before I go ahead? Okay, very good. I'm going to start with the training. Now, if you have a question or you have a comment that you'd like to interject, please do not wait to the end. Feel free to unmute yourself and interject at any time. I love interactive sessions, and if we can go back and forth, it's great. But if you like what you're hearing and are happy with that, that's okay too. And this session is how to get out the vote. A lot of states, particularly Oregon right now, are closing in on election day for their primaries. Ohio recently had its primary. Oregon's primary is May 17th, is when people must vote by. People who vote on May 17th and have their ballots postmarked on or before May 17th may have their ballots counted as late as a week after, but election day is supposed to be May 17th. And so it is time now to get out the vote. If you are a precinct committee chairperson or a precinct captain, or if you are a candidate, or if you are working for a candidate, you really need to be focusing on getting out the vote right now. It's important to do that. Primary elections usually do not have the turnout that general elections have. So if you can get a member of your base to get out and vote, it's going to have disproportionately greater impact than even in a general election. So it's very important that you have a get out the vote plan. Ideally, you already have some get out the vote activity going on. If you don't, we're going to try to talk about some ways that you can gin it up really fast. If you are a member of a political party, contact your party. This is not meant to replace the get out the vote activity that your party might be doing. If you are a member of a party, it's meant to augment that. And so what does it take to get people to vote? I did a lot of research onto this when putting together this training, and I stumbled upon a study done by Stanford University in 2012. And this study dealt with the psychology of getting people to vote. And what they found is that the likelihood of any given person to vote goes up 70% if you can do two things. The first thing you have to do is tie the act of voting to their personal identity. There are things that are a part of your personal identity. It might be your religion. It's a part of who and what you are. It might be the fact that you're a parent. It might be your job, whatever it is. But for a lot of people, their adopted political ideology, like their religion, is a part of who they are and part of their identity. And so you get their attention by tying the act of voting to their identity. And how might you do that? You might do that by going up to somebody who lives in your district and saying, you know, Mary, I understand that you've been a Republican for over 20 years, or you've been a Democrat for over 20 years. And I understand that you really believe this, and this is a part of who you are, right? And they'll probably say yes. And you can follow that up by saying, well, then you understand why it's important that we be active now in this election. Because if we want to advance our ideology, we've got to show up. And if you get them to agree with you on that, if they say, yep, I understand, you've done the first part. You've tied the act of voting to their personal identity. And you've got their attention at this point. That is the first thing that you need to do. The second thing you need to do is to have them express to you a voting plan. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. It can be, well, when are you planning to cast your ballot? And the person might start off by saying, you know, I hadn't thought about it yet. We've received the ballot, but you know, talk with them a while and get them to say, you know what, I think that, I'll tell you what, my wife and I will go over our ballot and we'll vote over dinner tonight, over the dinner table. That's a plan. We're going to vote next Tuesday over dinner is a plan. We're going to go out for drinks and vote while we're watching sports. That's a plan. Whatever it is a plan. So if you have tied the act of voting to their personal identity and you've got them to agree to or adopt a voting plan, they are now 70% more likely to vote. It works much better than simply calling someone up and saying, hey, the election's coming up, make sure you cast your ballot. You know, that's better than nothing. That works. But if you can tie the act of voting to their identity and have them express to you a plan to vote, it's 70% more likely to vote. So as you go forward with your plan, make sure you bear that in mind. Now, if you are a member of a political party, I would recommend that you first contact your political party and find out what their get out the vote plan is. If you're working for a specific candidate, contact their headquarters or their campaign manager and find out what their get out the vote plan is. I know that in Oregon, in a lot of counties, the political parties, Republicans, I know, I'm a libertarian, even some Democrats, the county parties do not always have any get out the vote plan at all. They just rely on the candidates to do it. And sometimes the candidates have a get out the vote plan, sometimes they don't, particularly if they're in a liberal district and they're running as a Democrat and they know they're going to win, or if they're unopposed, they may not have a get out the vote plan. And that leaves a real hole for people who are down ticket. So what you want to do is find out if they have any kind of a plan at all. And once you have that information, you can start to think about how you will augment those efforts. You don't want to duplicate those efforts, but you might want to augment those efforts. And what I encourage people to do to augment those efforts is to come up with what I call a personalized get out the vote plan. If you are working in a group and if you have a little bit of money, you can go to your county elections office and you can request regular lists of who has voted and who has not voted. And this is important because if you have this list, you can avoid calling people who have already voted. And that saves you time, and you can focus on calling people who haven't voted yet. But the personal campaign plan, it's amazingly simple. What that constitutes is asking individuals to simply get a piece of paper, write down the names of everyone they know who agrees with them ideologically. It might be their family, it might be their friends, it might be their coworkers, it might be people they do business with, it might be members of their bowling team, it might be members of the Elks Club that they belong to. Whatever it is, start writing down the names of people you know. Now, most of the people who take this training are limited government activists, and people tend to be friends with people who are similar to themselves. So if you activate your network, there might be a few big government advocates who you might be encouraging to vote, but more often than not, you're going to be asking limited government people to vote. And so you're going to write them down. Now I have a form that I'm going to provide you with right now. And this is a form you can use to track it. let's see, I had it right here. Okay, Gotv form. I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to show it to you. Okay, I've got the form up. And so now I'm going to share my screen again. And when you bring it up, you're going to see this form. Personal get out the vote worksheet. There's enough space on one page to deal with 2 voters. And you've got several things you can do. You've got contact name, write down who that person is. And as you contact them, are they registered to vote? Did they receive their ballot? Will they need assistance? I one time knew a gentleman who had Parkinson's disease who really struggled with his written ballot, and it is legal to assist someone in voting as long as you're not providing them undue influence. Do they have a plan to vote? When will they vote? And most importantly, the contact has voted. That you can either get that by going to the county list that is updated every day and you can tell that they voted, or else if you believe them, they might just tell you, oh, I voted yesterday. And you can check that off. And you know not to bother them anymore. You put down their phone number, their email, their address, whatever it is. And how are you going to contact them? So you can, you don't even need to make a list, really. This can be your list. You can write down the names and provide the information of everybody you're going to contact, 2 people per sheet. You've got their phone number here, you've got their email here, and when you're going to contact them and when are you going to follow up. And just come up with this plan to contact all the people that you know who can vote. It's important to note that you've got to follow up. You've got to make sure that they executed on their plan. If they told you that they're going to vote Wednesday night at dinner, call them on Thursday. Hi, Bob, this is Rich. I remember we talked, a week or so ago about voting and you were going to vote on Wednesday. Did you get that done? And they might say, oh, I forgot, well, then come up with another plan. But they might say, yep, we voted, we got it in the mail, it's all done. You can check off that red mark. No problem there. But anyway, you're going to come up with all of the people that you know. Now, if you are in a county party, or if you're a member of a political party, I'm going to turn this off here. Okay. If you're a member of a political party, you will want to ask for things like lists of all of the precinct committee people in your county. Now, if your county's political party does not have a strong get out the vote campaign underway, you can probably get them to give you this information, and you can provide them with these sheets that I'm sharing with you, and also the instruction sheet that I'll send you in a second. And you can ask your precinct committee chair people to execute these individualized get out the vote campaigns. If your county does have a strong get out the vote effort, you can augment that effort by using the individual get out the vote campaigns, by having your candidate do it, having your campaign volunteers do it, have known supporters do it. If everyone who you give the sheet to contacts 10 voters, a couple hundred voters in close races, that can make a difference. In small electoral districts, that can make a difference. Sherry, you've got a question?
I do. When you're talking about the list from the county, does it have their phone number and possible email on that list, or what information does it have, I guess?
If you get a list from the county,
yeah,
there are occasionally phone numbers and email addresses, not very often. But don't count on that. The personalized get out the vote program you can use it for cold calling people on a list, but it's not meant for that. It's really meant for your personal network, to talk to people in the precinct.
Oh, okay.
So the idea is you would have their phone numbers or you would have their email addresses. Now, let's say that there are 40 precinct committee chair people in Multnomah County in your party. Okay, if there's not a get out the vote campaign right now, you could simply activate them. And if half of them contacted 10 voters each, that's 200 voters that have been counted. and who knows how many people that they might impact. So even if you are starting very late, and even if you're only dealing with precinct committee chair people, and it goes no further than that, you can still bring 200-300 voters, get them to vote. I like to say go to the polls, but nobody goes to the polls anymore in a lot of states. But that makes a big difference. But if you do this, contact precinct committee chair people, give them the worksheet, give them the sheet. I'm going to share that sheet with you right now. It's a training sheet that accompanies this session. Let's see. And let's see, 20, here it is. Okay, so I just sent it through the chat window again. So both the worksheet and the training sheet are now in the chat window that you can download them. It's also available for download free on the westernlibertynetwork.org website under the training tab. So if I were in your position, I'm assuming you're a Republican, that you're in Multnomah County, like you've told me. So if I were you, I would contact your county party, get the lists of phone numbers of all the precinct committee chair people in Multnomah County, and I would email all of them this form and the instruction sheet, and then call them and tell them, look, it's late, we need to get the vote out. I'm going to execute this individualized get out the vote campaign using my personal network. I would like you to do the same thing using your personal network. If you have other people you can pass this to, please do so and ask them to do a individualized get out the vote program using their personal networks, and see what you can do to activate. It'd also be a good practice run for the general session or general election, because you'll know who's reliable, who follows through, and who doesn't follow through during the primary. But if I was in your position in Multnomah County, that is how I would handle that, if nothing is already being done.
We're not, a couple of us are here in Deschutes County. We're not in Multnomah County. We're in
Okay.
Deschutes.
Well, Deschutes, same thing. Any county, same information takes place. Besides, by the way, if you are able to put together a group, I would love to do a training there. I look for any excuse to come to Deschutes County.
Oh, well, you're welcome. You're always welcome. Well, that's no problem.
Yeah, Natasha, Ari, and I, we just pile in the car and we go down and do a live training. We love going to Deschutes County, so that's awesome.
One other question,
Sure.
Real quick, Richard. The 7 or 8 days past the 17th, don't you think that's a catalyst for cheating? I mean, why did our legislators pass that? To me, it's I don't know.
The stated reason why they passed it is because they figured that if you vote on election day and your envelope is postmarked on or before election day, that your vote should get counted, even if it actually arrives after election day. I myself, I mean, I think that opens the door for mischief, but I myself am a fan of going back to polling booths and only having absentee balloting for military and people who are out of state, and
Right.
those who can't go to a polling station. I really think there's no substitute for the civic experience and the privacy of casting a vote in a secret place that is secured. I just think there's no substitute for that. But I'm sympathetic with what you're saying.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Does anybody else have any questions here? Okay. If you decide to do an individual get out the vote campaign and get others to do it, again, coordinate with the candidates you're working for, coordinate with the political parties that you're a member of, make sure that you don't duplicate effort, make sure you use this form, mobilize your personal networks first, because they're the most likely to vote your way anyhow. And personal contact from someone they know is compelling. There really is no substitute for it. A cold call from someone reminding them to vote is better than nothing. It will remind some people to vote, and they will vote as a consequence of getting a cold contact. And emails are fine. It's better than nothing. Phone calls are fine. It's better than nothing. But if they know who you are and you make a personal phone call to somebody you know, if you knock on the door of somebody you know, you are much more likely to get a positive response to what you're asking them to do. And don't feel like you are imposing upon their lives. You are doing them a favor. You are doing them a favor because the people you contact, they have the franchise, they have political power, and you are encouraging them to use it in whatever way they see fit. And that is a part of civic life in a constitutional republic. And you're doing them a favor. You're not imposing. You're not asking them for money. You're not asking them for time, except for the time it takes to vote. But you're doing them a favor. So, this isn't a complicated training. It's basically, write down the names, phone numbers, and email addresses of everyone you know, get them to vote, and use the form to do it. Use the training document to structure what you're doing. One last important thing is to prepare your message. Your message is obviously to get out the vote. But when you talk to someone, keep it very simple. In the document I provide, I have an example. Hello, Jane. I'm calling to encourage everyone I know to vote in the upcoming election. I know you have been a conservative most of your life and hope you can be counted on to stand for your values now. Again, you're tying the act of voting to their ideology. Joe Blow is running in a close race for the state legislature, and we all want ballot measure Z to be defeated. Have you received your ballot? Check it on the form. If you plan to mail it, you should do so before election day. You have to do it before election day to make sure it arrives and is counted. When do you plan to cast your vote? And there you are asking them to express a plan to vote. You can go to the election website and they'll have a list of drop boxes. And if you have that handy, when you call people, you can tell them where the drop boxes are. And thanks. So that's it. If you stick to this, keep it simple, keep it short, tie the act of voting to their personal identity, and make sure they come up with a plan to vote, follow up, use the form, that you put these things down on, and you've got an individual get out the vote campaign. And the more you can get others to do an individual get out the vote campaign, the more effective that you're going to be. It's all about participation, and it's all about just simply doing the work, but it's not rocket science, and anybody can do it. Are there any questions? No? Okay, so that's our training today, in and out in just over a half an hour. How about that? This will be up on the recording page within a couple of hours, and next week we'll have another training at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and that'll be May 14th, I believe. So unless there's anything good for the order, I would like to wish you all a wonderful weekend. Good luck with your Get Out the Vote campaigns, and God bless you all. Take care.